It's time for the Lead Pedal Radio Show with your host, Bruce Outridge. He's coming at you with 5K high definition, wall-to-wall internet streaming sound. Keep you on the white line, keep you rolling down the blacktop, flying down that big old road. He's got the hits, don't quit, the platters that matter, and the spins that win. So join us. We'll help you circumnavigate the concrete sea and actuate the asphalt alleyway. Now, here is your host, Bruce Outridge.
Oh, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to the Chords Chrome show. Oh, man, we have had so much fun this weekend. We were over at Truck World, which is why I've lost my voice. And I think I'm going to turn this down a little bit just so you can hear me because I can't talk very loud. But we had a ton of fun seeing our fans here. Man, I got to tell you, like, there's one great thing about the truck shows, and that is seeing all of our fans and our friends and just, you know, it's like you haven't seen them and you probably saw them the day before. So big thank you to everybody. We tried to make it around the show. We're going to give you more about the show next week. We actually had some really cool things happen, so we'll tell you about that next week for sure. But big thank you to everybody that we saw over at the show. So what's on tonight's show? Well, I can tell you we've got drummer Rich Redmond. If you don't know who Rich Redmond is, I know you know who Jason Aldean is. And Rich is the drummer for Jason Aldean. He's been a part of the band for over 20 years. We're going to be talking about our friends the Thompsons, who are our Artist of the Week. We have to do a fan club draw because we did a special fan club draw from Truck World. So only some of the people that were in at Truck World that took our fancy QR code, we're going to find out what they who won that today. We're doing 3 draws because we did one for each day is what we're going to do. So that is what we've got coming up. We're also going to share with you some of the funniest roadside attractions. I mean, that's one of the cool things about driving, whether you're driving in a car on vacation or whether you're driving a truck, is some of the weirdest things you've seen. Right now, I can think of the giant lobster on your way to Margaritaville. There's also the giant Canadian goose if you're going to Wawa, and much, much more. There's the big nickel in Sudbury, a whole bunch of them, but there's some I never thought of, and we're going to share with them on the show for you today. So I want you to get ready, get set, get your drink of choice, whatever that might be, and let's get started with the show, okay? Here we go with Chords Chrome.
You're listening to the Chords Chrome show on Lead Pedal Radio.
Keeps me laughing.
You're listening to Lead Pedal Radio, music for people behind the wheel.
Oh, How's everybody doing? All right. Let's get started with our show. We're going to start off with Mr. Rich Redmond today. Now, Rich is the drummer for Jason Aldean and has been with him for, I think, over 20 years for sure. And he's doing, he's been around. He's worked with Garth Brooks. He's worked with a lot of main people on stage. I first met Rich probably while we did this interview. This is not a new interview. It's an old one that we did probably a few years ago. But I thought I would replay it now. I didn't have a guest for tonight, so I thought it would be cool to put him back on. Rich has been a great guy, and he's got a podcast. He's a speaker. He's drumming. He does a lot of stuff, man. If you thought I was busy, he makes me look like I haven't done anything yet, which I think is very cool. We're going to talk a little bit about how he got into music and what it's like to be on some of the biggest stages. At the time we did this interview, I think it was about 6 months maybe after that shooting that was happening in Las Vegas where Jason Aldean and them were on stage and someone in the crowd fired a gun. It was about 6 months after that I did this interview with Rich. So it's been a while. He's the kind of guy, and big shout out to Kelly Gannon who put me in touch with Rich. You think these guys are so big, but Rich was just he's a kind guy, and we've been following each other online ever since, and really very cool to see what he has to do and what he's doing for sure. Hey, I got to say a big thank you to our friends over at Bison Transport. This part of the show is brought to you by Bison Transport. This Bison Backstage, they support all of the interviews that we're doing and all of that kind of stuff. So big thank you to Bison for being in there for sure. All right, let's get started. We got French Bread on our Mixcloud side as well. If you want to hear the whole show, we got music coming up, all that kind of stuff. Then you want to make sure you're on our Lead Pedal Radio Mixcloud. You can click through the link no matter where you're listening to this right now, because about half the show is going to go on to YouTube and the rest goes on to our Lead Pedal Radio account, so you make sure you want to join that if you want to hear all the music and stuff. All right, let's get into our interview with Mr. Rich Redmond of Jason Aldean's band.
I'm feeling like Pink Floyd today. Here's side one of Dark Side of the Moon, right? Yeah. But now it's like, with Cumulus and you have playlists.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so it's amazing. Listen, I know what everybody's wanting to know because I'm probably wanting to know it too. You've played with some of the biggest bands. You're with Jason Aldean and Garth Brooks, and I can go on and on. If you go to your website, everybody will see all the names you've played with.
Yeah.
So what's it like to be with these big guys? Like, we all dream of that, right? But there's got to be a lot of demands as a professional in that space. So what's it like to be on the road with these guys? Is it what we see on TV?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like, tell everybody, it's like kind of like dispel the whole myth. I was like, hey man, I never get starstruck because I remember two things. These people, they poop and they pay taxes.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And they have all their own insecurities and weaknesses and concerns and trials and tribulations in life. But no, it's been really great. The Garth Brooks thing, I got to back him up at the CRS convention here recently in Nashville. Both he and Jason were on stage, and I got to shake his hand. And how many times have someone played Friends in Low Places, with a cover band or a wedding band or something? So my philosophy on getting to the big stage is if you treat every gig like you're playing with Garth Brooks or you're playing Madison Square Garden, you will eventually play with Garth Brooks, or you eventually will play Madison Square Garden. But no, and life gives you, gifts. I mean, I've been playing with Jason Aldean for almost 20 years. We all finish each other's sentences. He's a very loyal person. Yeah. He's had the same band. We've recorded 8 records, 28 singles, 20 which have been number 1 songs. We played every late night show, every morning show, the Saturday Night Lives, the Grammys, seen the world together. And it's just an amazing thing. When you put all your effort into something and you never mail anything in and you're always playing and performing from the peak of your ability and from your heart, I think you can, write your ticket to success. And it's been just an amazing journey, just so fun,
Wow. So when you play a song, if you decide to change up, I'm assuming you have a bad day. You seem like a real person like the rest of us. So I'm sure there's a time when you're you're at sound check or whatever, and even though you know what you're supposed to play, it doesn't come out right. I know it works for me, so I'm sure.
Yeah.
What happens? Do they like? How do you correct that as a professional? You've got to play it a certain way. The crowd, or does nobody notice? Maybe you can cover it up. I don't know. How does that work?
Well, I think everybody in our band and everybody in Nashville that operates at this level, whether they be a recording musician or a touring musician, is they're perfectionists, and there's definitely a standard and level of expectations, and we are really hard on each other, and we're accountable to each other, and that's how you can maintain that standard. But you try not to make mistakes, but sometimes there's just like maybe from jet lag or being overworked or just whatever reason, there's a disconnect between your mind and your body, and sometimes you'll blow something. And then I tell everybody, you just own that mistake and no one will ever know. You just own it, or you do it twice. If you do it twice, it's a pattern.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's I wonder if it's the same thing as in the caricature world. It's like, have you ever done something where it was like, oh God, I'm not happy with this. Let me do it again. Or
Well, the trick is to not do it again. And like you say, right, if you do it twice, and because you're a professional speaker and so am I, that if you forget to tell somebody something, the crowd doesn't know you were going to tell them. Only we know. We go, oh, I forgot that line.
They haven't heard your speech before.
It's the same thing when you're drawing a caricature event. They don't know that I didn't plan to make the nose like that.
Yeah.
I may not have planned to make it like that,
Yeah.
but you're working with marker, and you learn to just go, okay, I made it like that. How can I kind of fix it so they don't know? I mean, if they're really upset, I'll redo it, but I've never had that. Most people are amazed to see you draw from nothing, blank piece of paper to come out and be able to draw their face.
Yeah.
So they're always amazed at that it takes away from, oh, you didn't do the nostril right or something, and then I can always just say, hey, it's a caricature. It's not supposed to look like you if it's really bad, right?
Yeah, no, that whole thing fascinates me, because it's almost like it's your interpretation or impression of not only the physical characteristics, but whatever energy or aura that person is like putting off. You're getting a sense of that person. Are they wacky? Are they a control freak? Or
Well, as a caricature artist, and I don't want to make this about me, but as a caricature artist, it's like you are. When you go on stage with the band, you're on, right? You're tired, you're fatigued, you didn't sleep well, whatever it is. When you're in front of 80,000 people or however many people you get in a stadium, they expect you to perform at a certain level. And I was watching one of your drum videos this morning, and man, I'm sure you don't have to play that hard, but you were playing really hard. Like, you were sweating and you're really playing it out, and it looked good. And when I go to a concert and pay $80, $100, I expect to see that.
Oh, you better believe it. Yeah.
And it's the same thing when I do a wedding. If I'm drawing caricatures at a wedding, I may not feel like being there. There's many times I've had a nap in my car, and then I go into the wedding and boom, I'm on. I'm joking with the fans and all of that kind of stuff. And that's what you have to do. That's part of being a professional, right? So,
you got to be able to turn it on,
Yeah. Were you with Jason during? I don't want to bring our interview down too much, but were you Jason during the Las Vegas shoot?
Yes, I've done every tour, every television show. I've never missed we've done thousands of shows, and I've never missed a show. The only show I've ever missed has been maybe about a decade ago. My grandparents, it was like The Notebook. They died on the same day. My grandparents were madly in love for, they were married for over 60 years. And anyways, I sent Miranda Lambert's drummer in to sub for me, and I had to go, to their funeral. But I tell everybody, the entertainment business, especially the road, what we do is we miss a lot of stuff. It's not for the faint of heart. We have missed birthdays, graduations, births. We miss everything, and our family members just go, well, that's the toss-up, because I saw Richie this morning on the Today Show. I'm going to watch him tonight on Tonight Show. So I guess he's not coming to my college graduation ceremony. You know what I mean? I guess he's not coming to our 40th anniversary party. So you do what you can. You send a lot of gift cards and flowers and spa packages and that kind of stuff. But no, I was in Vegas. I'll always be the drummer that was on stage during one of the worst days in American history. And the sunshine that came from that was that all 60 members of our organization are completely unharmed, and we are all strongly moving forward with our lives. And we took a few days to reflect and step back on things. And 4 days later, we were on Saturday Night Live. We went and did Saturday Night Live, and that was a very powerful moment. Very, I don't want to say fun, but it was It was fun, but but I felt guilty about it being fun because everybody wants to play Saturday Night Live, but it was a great healing moment for the country.
Yeah. Now, does it affect going on the stage? Now are you now looking in the audience for weird people, or do you just go out? Is it terrorism is everywhere? Is that?
I think security is. I think a lot of people are maybe in the back of their mind are thinking about these things. Security has been heightened, protocols are changing, but I tell people, playing drums, entertaining people, changing people's lives and affecting people in a positive way through music is my gift. It's my calling in life. It's my purpose in life. So nothing is going to stop me from doing that. Nothing is going to stop our band from doing that. So we go out there and we do it. And my philosophy on death and dying is my mom is a nurse. She was a nurse for 40 years. Right. She dealt with death and dying every single day. You have to be a very powerful person, very strong person to deal with that. And when it's your time, it's your time.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, I drove transport truck for 25 years, so I understand that whole gift cards and missing stuff. So, do you have a good story from the road? Let's pick this back up again because I didn't want to get down on that, but I did want to. Yeah. So you must have at least one funny story if you can share from somebody on the road.
Well, it's always funny is because you always get that interview question is like, what is the most embarrassing moment you've ever experienced on stage? It was like, well, did the bass player come over and give you a wedgie, or did your pants split open and your groin in front of 80,000 people? Man, I don't know, man. I guess I'm just so overly cautious and professional. I make sure I get my sleep. Every day on the road is a little bit like Groundhog Day. You pull into the venue. I go and I get my eggs. I probably go off to teach or speak in an area school or a music store, and then I come back and I get my workout. We do a sound check. The band breaks bread together. We take a shower. We clean up. We do the show all sweaty. Have a cocktail. Go to bed. Wake up in the next city. It's like Groundhog Day. And, everyone's like, well, you get to see the world, right? It's like, no, I get to see loading docks and sweaty people's clothes and dressing room fruit. It's like, I still haven't seen Mount Rushmore. I still haven't seen the Grand Canyon. There's a lot of things that I just haven't seen. There's no time for those things, Yeah. But the other night, my poor bass player, man, he wears these big, actor heightening boots, and they got caught in the grid and in the catwalk, and he fell a little bit. And he cut his hand open, but there's a lot of times, you're playing and your nose is running and it's dripping down, and the cameraman's right on your face, or you've cut yourself and there's blood all over the drums, or you gotta pee, that's the thing is the aging prostate. Our band is all 40 plus, right? So it's not like we're all doing these last minute shots or lines of blow or something like in the 70s and 80s. It's like our road manager's like, hey guys, 5 minutes out, last pee. Because we're we don't want to pee at our age on stage for 90 minutes, But no really embarrassing stories, man. It's like Groundhog Day, and it's just a preparation thing. I'm a Boy Scout, so I'm up there. I got this amazing drum tech. So I got 2 fans blowing on me. If the snare drum breaks, I got a snare drum next to me. If the bass drum pedal breaks, I got a bass drum ready to go. I got water. I got towels. I got Q-tips. And it's just focus. The audience deserves my attention and energy for those 90 minutes.
Yeah, it's amazing you say that, because driving transport truck, everybody thinks we see the world too, and we don't. I see all the loading docks. I see all the back stuff.
I see nothing.
And now I stopped driving 12 years ago, and my wife and I are now going to places like Nashville that I used to go by every single week. Went by Nashville on my route, and I never stopped in Nashville. I used to stop at the TA.
The TA, yeah. And so. Yeah, so you guys got to let me know when you're in Nashville. I'll show you my Nashville. I live right here off of Music Row in the heart of all the fun stuff.
I spend too much money. We don't come down that often because it always costs, and it cost me It's funny because you were talking with, I think it was Kevin. Somebody asked about how they network in Nashville, and you guys were talking about go down to the bars and all of the. Last time we were there, it cost me $300 for one song because Kid Rock had just released his song that was like the Alabama one.
Yes, like a mashup of a Warren Zevon song and.
Yeah, my wife loved it. The guy played it. If somebody kept stopping him for $20, it cost me $300 for him to keep playing this song. I could have bought 30 albums for the same price.
That's like a really great business model.
Yeah. All right. right, there you go. That's Rich Redmond. If you want to listen to the whole interview, head on over to in the studio playlist on Lead Pedal Radio, and you can hear the whole interview. Rich is a great guy for sure, and it just shows you that behind the scenes is not as glamorous as you thought. In fact, next week, you want to join us next week, we ended up getting a special interview with the Roadhammers unexpectedly, and I'm going to share that with you next week, and I'll tell you a funny story about that as well. Big thank you to Rich for being on the show. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a song here. When we come back, we're going to we'll talk about our artist of the week that is brought to you by our friends over at Ontario Truck Driving School for sure. So let's play one of Jason Aldean's songs, and I'm going to get off of our Facebook page right here. This one's called If My Truck Can Talk.
Gauge 040